Hi, welcome back to the Crypto Dave YouTube channel. Now today I'm going to do a quick update video on my cloud mining experiment. So I'll be talking through the results for the last, I think it's 3 weeks since I did the last update video. So it'll be the last 3 weeks of Hashflare profits, as well as talking about the upcoming Genesis mining experiment, which starts on the 28th of February, and also my take on whether it's worth looking at cloud mining in general at the moment. So anyway, before we get into those bits and bobs, let's just jump over to the spreadsheet and have a quick look at the results for the last 3 weeks. So as always, this Google spreadsheet will be linked in the description below, and you can kind of keep a track and an eye on it, you know, as I update it. I try and update this every few days with the daily amounts. But anyway, if we have a look at the overall amounts, you know, the initial experiment here, it was 10 terahashes, which was $1,500, which cost us 0.1259 Bitcoin. Now, as of today, we've received 0.087285 Bitcoin, so that's probably about 70%. We're just under 3/4. But what we have to remember is that the first few weeks, up until we reached 15 terahash on the 21st of January, all the revenue that I received was reinvested into the platform in order to increase the hash rate. And then, as you can see here, from the 22nd of the 1st, I changed that around, and once I reached 15 terahashes, it's been set to accumulate and withdraw. And we're not reached the withdrawal limit yet, as you can see here. So we're currently on 0.02287, and the minimum withdrawal fee is 0.05. So we're almost at 50%. Probably next week we'll hit 50% of our withdrawal amount. Now, the big issues really we've had, and you can look here at the hash rate. So you can see the hash rate's gone up from 10 when we started up to 15, and then it's been flat there as we've just accumulated. The two problems, and this is problems. The first problem is basically Bitcoin difficulty, and this is something you'll see with all cloud mining contracts. And this is, you know, really the big issue with cloud mining contracts, is that you pay upfront. So when I bought this Hashflare contract, the Bitcoin difficulty was at a certain amount. A lot of people then, they look at the online sort of calculators and work out what they're going to be making, and they go, oh, this is fantastic, I'm going to break even in like 100 days, and then, you know, it's all profit. Now, of course, that does not take into account difficulty. And if we take just a quick glance over at the difficulty, now this contract started on the 5th of December, so sorry, 7th of December, where difficulty, let's have a look at the beginning, of 1590, and as of today we're at 2874. So within the next week, when the next difficulty arises, which will go up again, we will be double the difficulty that when we started, you know, 10 weeks ago. So that's a huge increase in difficulty, and that difficulty you know, continues to go up all the time with Bitcoin. So, you know, every few weeks it goes up. You occasionally see a tiny reduction in difficulty, but the trend is always upwards. So what you are earning from your standard amount of hash rate, which in our case was 10 terahash, now 15 terahash, will decrease all you know, in an ongoing basis. So, you know, every month you will be earning less, and normally every week you will be earning less in your hash rate, you know, for your set amount of hash rate, than you would the week before. So that's the big issue really with cloud mining contracts. So what you look at now, you go, oh, well, you know, this is fantastic, I'm going to break even in 100 days. That 100 days easily slips to 200 to 300 days once the difficulty increases. So that's the first thing to talk about. The other thing is that we've obviously had a massive reduction in the price of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is probably 50% of what it was when the experiment started. We had a run up in December and the beginning of January, and then we've had a really big sell-off, and, you know, prices are down massively. And both these factors are explained here in our daily Bitcoin price. So this is the amount that we receive, and you can see basically this is where we started on the 7th of December, and you can see here this is when we stopped. On the 21st of January, when we stopped increasing the amount of hash rate. Now, what we received that day was basically identical to what we had received right back at the beginning of the experiment, even though we had 50% more hash rate here. Now, the amount of Bitcoin we were earning on a daily basis did go up with the increase in Bitcoin, because what happens is that you will earn X amount of Bitcoin a day, and then the maintenance fees or the kind of contract fees, you know, are taken off. And this is why, if we jump over here, to the dashboard, so you can see here the revenue forecast for us is 0.00142 Bitcoin a day. But if you actually have a look at what we've received the last few days, you'll see that it's substantially less than that. So we're 0.00083, and then we were 77, 76, 71, 63, 75, and basically that is because the maintenance fee is calculated in US dollars. So because Bitcoin is now worth basically half of what it was at the beginning, our maintenance fee has basically doubled in price. So at the beginning we were paying probably 25% of our daily income in maintenance fees, and now it's more like 50%. So that's the other reason why we've seen this massive kind of like pull off now. Now, over the first few months, as I mentioned, we were increasing hash rate at a rate that basically got around the increase in Bitcoin difficulty. The trouble with that, of course, is that you could run for an entire year, and the hash flare contracts are only a year. And with Bitcoin price was stable, you would probably see basically the daily Bitcoin amount just stay the same. But obviously we wouldn't be withdrawing anything, and the minute we try and start withdrawing, then obviously our daily amount decreases, because the Bitcoin difficulty is increasing and our hash rate is not increasing to match that. So that's if you are interested in cloud mining, that's the kind of medium you've got to try and get right. Now, for us, it would have been, I think, probably far better just to have left it at 10 terahashes and take as much out as possible within those first few weeks. So, looking at these kind of figures here, probably within the first sort of month and a half, you'd have probably got, at least 25%, maybe 33% of what the total amount you will get, because that's before the difficulty has increased a lot. But anyway, that's the results to date. As I mentioned here, this is going to be the Genesis Mining tab. Now, things are not looking kind of great with the increase in difficulty. We haven't started yet. We've got another 2 weeks till things start. So I will keep updating people with this. But my gut reaction with cloud mining in general, and I did a video, rather, not an update video, a video probably 6 months ago, 9 months ago, on a Genesis mining contract I had. It was only like $100 contract, and that's probably made to date about $600. So if you look at that, you go, oh well, that's fantastic, you made 6 times what you put into it. But that's all down to the increase in Bitcoin price. And as I said back in that video, if I'd just invested in Bitcoin back then, I would have received far more in profits than cloud mining. So I would generally steer clear of cloud mining. I'm not sitting here saying they're scams. I think Genesis Mining is probably the most legitimate kind of one out there. Hashflare, probably slightly less so, but I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination they are scams, because they are giving you what you're buying. So if you're buying a 10 terahash contract and they're saying we're going to take X amount in fees per terahash a day, as long as they give you that contract for the time that they said they would give you it for, then they're not doing anything wrong. But the issue really is that I think, particularly if people that don't know a lot about Bitcoin, don't know a lot about difficulty increases and stuff like that, they will look at the calculators, which are not realistic as to what you will get back. So they'll look at, a calculator, and they'll go, oh, Hashflare will pay back in 100 days, and then I've got 200 days of pure profit, or 265 days of pure profit. It does not work like that. Best case scenario, you will get back in a year the amount of Bitcoin you put in. It may be if Bitcoin price goes up a lot and your maintenance fees, is proportionally lower, that you can, make slightly more than you would in Bitcoin. But I think that's generally quite unlikely. We'll have to see what happens with the Genesis payouts. And as I said, in 2 weeks that will start, and then I will start updating both these tabs with the results. But I'll check back in a few weeks. The takeaway for me is that we've been sort of compounded by a real increase in Bitcoin difficulty, which I can only see increasing in the future, plus the decrease in Bitcoin price. Now if Bitcoin goes back up to sort of $15,000, $16,000, I think we'll break even. If it stays down or it doesn't increase particularly strongly over the next kind of month or so, I can see this really sort of like tailing off, and the last sort of third of the year, the last 4 months of the year, basically earning so little as to really struggling to make payout. But anyway, that's my take on cloud mining at the moment. As always, I'm really keen on mining. I'm keen on staking as well. But I always recommend probably try and do mining from home rather than investing in a cloud mining contract. But anyway, I hope that's been useful. That's my results to date with Hashflare, and as I said, soon to be results with Genesis. But anyway, have a great day, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.